Open your cerebral cortex and shift your lobes into upper beta phase, because you are going to have Bitcoin knowledge transmitted directly into your vestibulocochlear. Your host at Bitcoin Knowledge is Trace Mayer, an early Bitcoin advocate since it cost $0.25, but this is not intended to be investment advice. A doctor of jurisprudence, but this is definitely not legal advice. And an investor in core cryptocurrency infrastructure, including Armory, BitPay, Kraken, and Mitagio, but this is not a recommendation of those services. Here, you get fed via direct mind download with pure and free Bitcoin knowledge.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Knowledge Podcast. We have a really artistic interview here. We have Daniel Mross. He put together this whole Rise and Rise of Bitcoin documentary. Welcome to the podcast, Daniel.
Hi, Trace. Thanks for having me.
So, can you tell us a little bit about this documentary? Like, what inspired you to create it of all things, and why'd you jump on it so early?
Well, I had, I'd gotten into Bitcoin, and was very passionate about it from the start, from right getting into it. And I found in short time it was really difficult to talk to people about Bitcoin if they didn't know what it was, or to explain it. It was always very frustrating. It's not something that, especially earlier on, was easy to explain to somebody in 1 or 2 minutes. So, having always had that frustration, was something I always worked on, kind of trying to explain Bitcoin to people. And my brother Nick, I was always telling him all these crazy stories that were happening, and we decided to kind of, he asked, hey, do you want to just shoot a little, mini documentary about this? It seems like there's enough interesting things happening, stuff you're always telling me. He was always telling him stuff that was going on the forums and crazy stories and whatnot. And, he asked me about that, and I said, I think that'd be a great idea. And I said, maybe we can do a little animation in there and kind of do like a little updated what is Bitcoin kind of thing, and use it as maybe a little explainer kind of video to show people there's, some interesting things happening in Bitcoin, but also kind of give them a little bit of an explanation of what it is. So that's kind of really how we got started. And, one of the first people I reached out to was Charlie Shrem. He was really active on the forums, was very ambitious, very approachable, always really friendly. And, they were close by, not too far from us in Pittsburgh. So I thought, hey, let's drive out there. He seems like a great person that we could interview. And it really kind of went from there. From there, Bitcoin started taking off, and a lot of the people that Charlie had introduced us to were kind of right there in the middle of everything. So we kind of doubled down our efforts, and as did a lot of the businesses and the startups that we kind of got right as the roller coaster started going, and made the film what it is today. So
yeah, I'm actually in the film, very small cameo part, but that took place at the filming for it, at least where I was involved, was at the San Francisco conference there.
San Jose.
San Jose conference, and actually I was there with Charlie when we were originally getting that all planned and set up. Now, you had mentioned there that you wanted to be the first to get a Bitcoin documentary out. And here you are, you got the first major Bitcoin documentary out. You've won all kinds of awards, like Tribeca Film Festival, right? Number 1 in iTunes in the documentary section. Can you tell us a little bit about the recognition you've got with the film and where you plan on taking it?
Yeah, so we realized about halfway through that, there was nobody that had kind of, at this level already anything on Bitcoin. We knew there were some other projects going on, but we just had stories, and we had access to people that were, really active and were kind of right in the middle of everything. So, along with that, we were very fortunate that we were able to premiere the film at Tribeca and kind of get it out there as really the first documentary about Bitcoin, at least first feature-length kind of documentary. What we found is that very interested in Bitcoin, the films had a really good reception. We were getting a lot of feedback from people who aren't techie people that are saying, oh, this is great. I finally kind of understand this, and I didn't know all these stories were even happening. And so, it's been a great way to show people, what Bitcoin is, but also kind of show them that, that this community's existed for a while, and, that's the community is what has made Bitcoin what it is, and it's great. So, but being first to market is always fortunate.
So what type of help have you gotten from the community, just in general, besides, of course, the interviews? But, you've gotten all types of press generated by the community. Lots of people are talking about it. Lots of people have gone and seen it. I've seen it. I liked it quite a bit. How's the community helped you, extend your art out there?
Well, it's funny that the community that I was, most tightly ingrained with was Bitcoin Talk. It was very active there as a miner, and we always traded ideas with a lot of the other miners and followed a lot of the discussions and things like that. But then, also Reddit has been really, very active, and we've seen a lot of support from Reddit now after the film was released. One really awesome thing is, the film was immediately torrent as soon as it came out, and we saw posts. People would upvote these posts, and they would post our donation address, and say, if you downloaded the film, make sure you send a donation if you enjoyed it. So that's probably the most recent thing. That's just you see all these donations start coming in from people who are just voluntarily sending you some money because they enjoyed the film and using Bitcoin. It's been really great. So that shows us that the community is kind of rallying behind us as well. And that makes us feel well, like we've done a good job helping people learn about Bitcoin, and the community is in agreement with us, we hope. So
that's really cool. And I think there's actually just kind of off the top of my head, it made me think of, I think it's which torrent application is it where you can actually specify like either a Bitcoin or a Litecoin or a Dogecoin address.
Yeah, I think that's FrostWire.
FrostWire?
I think one of the users actually posted a how-to video. Yeah. Posted a how-to video or something like that. So we're watching all those things. I mean, at the same time, we're dealing. We sold the rights to the film to a distributor, Gravitas, and they're a great distributor. They have a lot of they did Sound City is one of the films they did. So they have a lot of experience, and they're pretty good in the industry. And we went with them, and there were some delays in getting the film out as fast as we had wanted to, but we think it was well worth it because the day that the film was released, it was immediately available on iTunes and on Vimeo, and it's on Amazon Prime. It's on every major cable provider in the U.S., but also international distribution. The film is being released in 21 different languages, and it's making its way through those different channels right now. Satellite television, different cable channels, and this is all in within a week, kind of the original release date. So I don't think we would have had that kind of traction. We wouldn't have had that kind of pull if we didn't have a big distributor behind us like Gravitas. So we've been really glad to work with them. They actually bought the rights to the film using Bitcoin. So they're also they're also kind of realizing something we've been telling them and telling a lot of people in the film industry that we've seen is that Bitcoin is going to disrupt distribution as well. It eliminates a lot of middlemen and but if distributors are starting to look at it, and if they look at Bitcoin as a tool that they can leverage for this for helping out their customers, they can take advantage of that. And I think Gravitas is way ahead of the curve. They're really interested in Bitcoin now, and it's timely that Vimeo announced shortly after the release of our film that they are looking at accepting Bitcoin as well. So or they may actually be accepting Bitcoin now. So it's fun to be right in the middle of another disruption like that as it's happening, thanks to Bitcoin.
I bet that's like, isn't it so fun, like just being right in the middle of all this massive change? And you wrote part of the history. I mean, this is like a major historical document, you could say, about like the rise of Bitcoin. And I mean, you created.
Sure.
That. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah. I mean, when you say it like that, it is cool. I mean, we've been really excited about it, but it's given, we've been under a lot of pressure too to make sure that we're representing, the stories that matter and getting enough opinions in there of different sides of things that are going on. But ultimately, there's going to be, I think, a lot of more films and things like that come out. So we've any chance that we've gotten, we've had a lot of serendipity, we've had a lot of good luck, and anytime that's happened, we've just kind of doubled down our efforts and tried to make the best of it. So hopefully the film shows that.
Yeah, I mean, like yourself, I'm involved in kind of the content creation side, and like I was on the editorial board of Bitcoin Magazine and help fund that. And I think it's really important for us to like chronicle the history. there's so much that's gone on. There's so much that's happened, so many different stories. I think it's really important for us to highlight some of those stories, exactly what you've done with the documentary. Behind the scenes, something that didn't make it into the film, what's kind of a funny story or a serendipitous story that happened as you were creating this documentary that you'd like to share?
Oh, we have. Let's see. I mean, I will say we have a ton of footage that didn't make it into the film. Different interviews with people. If there was one thing that probably I would have liked to have had in the film that we weren't able to get in, let me think. I don't know. See, I don't want to give away too much of that because I know we're gonna have some DVD extras and things like that. Actually, I know if you check on the iTunes version of the film, we have a lot of extra content. There's an interview with Zhao Tong called "Remembering Bitcoinica." It's a really fantastic segment, and it's available if you go to iTunes. If you go to the iTunes version of the film, you click on extras. There's a 5 or 10 minute segment called "Remembering Bitcoinica" that would have made it into the film, but we thought it was too good to not include, so it's there in the extra content. And there's a couple of other interviews and pieces as well. So,
oh my gosh, unbelievable! Bitcoinica. I mean, that's a name from the annals of history, right? Just for our listeners, Bitcoinica. For those that don't know, it was they tried to, what were they selling, contracts for difference or leverage trading on the Bitcoin price?
Bitcoinica was one of the other major exchanges that was there that at the time when Mt. Gox was in its heyday, they were one of the competitors, and the story was that it was created by a 17-year-old, I think, at the time, and he offered short selling. So you could short Bitcoin on and do leverage trading as well. So something that a lot of people had been looking for. Unfortunately, it was also a tragedy. There was unfortunately it was also the exchange was hacked, and they lost a lot of Bitcoins, something like 30 or 40,000 Bitcoins, I think. My brother was fortunate enough to meet up with Zhao Tong, though. I think it was on one of his trips to San Francisco, and he was able to record an interview and kind of got the whole story. So,
oh wow, behind the scenes, whole story. How about another cool story, just with the documentary? You said that you ran into some good luck. Could maybe you give us a couple examples of where you could say fate was just smiling on you?
Sure. So actually, the first time when we went to New York to interview Charlie Shrem, we got an interview with him, and we recorded with Roger Ver as well, who was in their office. So we were really excited that he was there at the time, and we were able to talk to him in the same trip. Then, unfortunately, we got back, and Nick messed up and erased all the footage.
Oh my gosh!
Unbelievable. Our first interview, we lost all the footage of the original ones, and we had a second camera that wasn't quite as good, so we kind of had a reference to it. But Nick panicked and said, "Okay, well, this was kind of the whole start of where we're going to go. I need to go and refilm this interview." So he packed up the car and he went back a second time again and reshot all the interviews. Kind of had it was even asking Charlie to wear the same shirt and things like that, not knowing, wanting to have consistency. But the lucky part was that it so happened that when he went back the second time, that's when Jared from Trade Hill was visiting, and he was introduced to Jared then and filmed a little bit with him, and that kind of was the introduction that led to Jared eventually being one of the major characters that we follow in the story. So it was luck again. It was bad luck that kind of turned into good luck because it introduced us to another main character.
Yeah, and the story definitely wouldn't be complete without Jared. He's actually a good friend of mine, so I'm glad he made it in the movie and that fate was smiling on him being in there.
Well, I mean, that's a great kind of inspirational story for people. Sometimes life gives you lemons, right? And you just got to make lemonade out of it. And isn't that the story of Bitcoin in general, though?
Yeah, I think so, right? I mean, you have, and that I think that's something that as I mentioned in the film, a lot of the people that we met, a lot of the people that we interviewed, they're go-getters. They're people that they have an idea and they dedicate their time and effort to achieving it, and they don't give up very easily. And when you have a whole community of people, especially early on, that was consisted of a lot of people that had that attitude. Entrepreneurs that are willing to take risks. People that are willing to try things out and experiment, even if they know overwhelmingly the odds are against them. If you have a whole bunch of people that are like that, which makes up a good part of the Bitcoin community, I think that's part of why Bitcoin has grown so quickly and is becoming so successful.
Yeah, I mean, you just got this whole community that just like honey badgers its way through like whatever gets thrown at it, like whether it's Bitcoinica, like failing and losing 50,000 Bitcoins or whatever it was, or Mt. Gox, like $500 million, poof, gone. I mean, we've just seen failure after failure of different services and everything in Bitcoin. We've had all types of setbacks, and yet through all of it, like the community keeps going. It turns out these, things like this documentary, more professionalized services. I mean, looking at where Bitcoin came from, we're only 5 years into this? Like, I mean, where do you think this is going to be in another 5 years? And are you going to make another documentary?
Oh man, no, nothing on slate for another documentary. I know my brother Nick will always say, sequels are never as good as the first one. As far as Bitcoin goes, it's the value of Bitcoin is kind of self-evident, I think, and that's why it doesn't matter how many people try and fail or how many people try and succeed. It's that the idea keeps spreading and that the community keeps growing and there's more and more people that are involved. And I've always said Bitcoin has no marketing department. Part of being decentralized means grassroots efforts from everyone involved, and that's so. I mean, I guess in a way, everybody's combined efforts are what helps sell Bitcoin, what helps get Bitcoin. People educate people about Bitcoin, what helps inform people about Bitcoin and show them what it really is. So even with our film, we're doing our part, and so are other people. Andreas Antonopoulos speaking in front of the Canadian Senate was just like amazing to watch. I don't think I didn't watch Senate hearings ever before Bitcoin, and now like they're on the topic. I find them fascinating. So,
I mean the U.S. Senate hearings were great. I mean I love like the last 2 minutes where the chairman of the Canadian Senate actually said, Andreas, you far exceeded our expectations. Like you did a wonderful job, and so. I mean, Bitcoin's definitely coming out of obscurity, and it's becoming a household name in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think so. And as more things are built onto it, and as more it's used in more and more different ways, it's going to become I think akin to something like internet, where people no longer kind of try to paint it with one way or another. It becomes a tool, and so I think 5 years from now, to go back to your question, I think we'll see Bitcoin being used as a payment system in a lot of instances, competing alongside others. But also, I think we'll see a lot of the blockchain 2.0 kind of stuff, as people like to refer to it, and we'll see a lot of integration of other things that we didn't expect to see utilizing Bitcoin start to utilize it more.
So as we wrap up, like one final question, like for the young aspiring artist, for who's just got a vision of something they want to create, like what advice would you have for them? Like what advice would you have for the young artist that just has an idea?
Well, two things I would say. Number one, if it's your project, you get out what you put in. So don't ever sell yourself short, and sometimes if make the extra effort, and along with that is surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with positive people that you can trust, that will work hard and will be dedicated to your project. I think one of the biggest reasons we were able to make such a good film was that everybody on our team was dedicated. Everybody, even the people who didn't have any idea what Bitcoin was, by the end of the film, they were interested in Bitcoin. They understood it enough, and they were dedicated to the project. And having dedicated people that you can trust that are willing to work hard on a project is key to, I think, making it successful.
Oh man, thanks Daniel Mross. The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin, the first major Bitcoin documentary, all types of awards, Tribeca Film Festival, #1 in documentary in the iTunes Store. Great advice for the young aspiring artists also. Thanks for being with us, Daniel.
Thanks so much for having me, Chase.
Be sure to get a copy of the free Bitcoin Guide at freebitcoinguide.com. Got a question or suggestion? Record your voice at bitcoin.kn. Don't be shy. To help the show, share Bitcoin.kn with friends, post about it on Reddit, and otherwise spam the interwebs. Your iTunes comments and 5-star reviews are very important to us. Please continue tuning in to the Bitcoin Knowledge Podcast, where we release interviews with the top people in the Bitcoin world. Now take some choline and let that Bitcoin knowledge consolidate.